Hi guys and welcome back. A frequently asked question: can I travel with a 3-month-old or below? How do I travel with a 3-month-old and below? What are some of the things that I need to know while I'm traveling with a child or an infant for this case? And how can you handle yourself, or how can you take care of the baby while you're traveling with a baby? The first question maybe I should answer: can you actually travel with a 3-month-old baby? Yes, you can. You can travel with a very tiny little baby, even beginning from the first or the second week, depending on how beauty of breastfeeding mom. Sorry for that small interruption. So anyway, as I was saying, yes, you can actually do travel with a 3-month-old or below baby without any problems. The first thing you need to ask yourself is whether you had a cesarean birth or a vaginal birth, because those two will bring a lot of difference in terms of your healing progress. And even if it was vaginal birth, was it a traumatic birth? Or so it is very important to know, if it was vaginal birth, was it traumatic or was it just seamless and it happened the way you were anticipating, or even the way the healthcare giver was anticipating for it to go. Because if it was traumatic, or maybe you ended up having either a rupture, or you had a tear, or you had injury to your perineum, that will determine the length of your healing journey. So it might be difficult for you. Most of the times it's more of maternal factors than it is of the baby factors. However, we're going to break down both of them. So let's start with the maternal factors. Which kind of delivery was it? Was it a vaginal birth or a cesarean birth, as I've earlier alluded? And if it was a cesarean birth, were there any post-op complication? That is, after the birth or after the delivery, did you have any other issues that necessitated you to stay in the hospital for longer? For example, did you have like a bladder injury, or so if there were any post-op complications or intra-op complications, this might take you longer for you to be able to heal, or you might even need to have subsequent visits to your physician or your gynecologist, just to be able to review you until they give you that go ahead. So if at all there was anything that that compounded that process, even if it was cesarean or it was vaginal birth, then definitely you might need to wait until you have a go ahead from your primary healthcare worker to tell you if you can now proceed into traveling. Same goes with the vaginal birth. However, if it was an uneventful either vaginal or cesarean delivery, after 6 weeks it is totally okay to be able to travel, because that is the puerperal period. You have maintained yourself, you've tried to make sure you're no longer bleeding, you're not having any sort of uneventful circumstances that you might face while you're in transit or while you're traveling. However, there's some people and there's some cases where with even vaginal birth, and which was non-eventful, even after a week, if baby also had no issues, you can be able to travel comfortably. And 2 weeks for people who've had cesarean birth. And it depends how long also the journey is going to be. If you're having a long distance, let's say for example you're traveling for more than 3 hours, it's only fair that after every 1.5 hours, especially if you're using your own private means, then you take breaks. It is actually recommended for cesarean birth or even just vaginal birth that you try as long as possible to avoid any travel between the 6th week. This is because it can make you have other further complications, such as, especially if it's a long distance, such as DVT. People have heard about clots, and these clots sometimes they can start from your legs and they can travel all the way up to your chest area, and they lodge themselves in the lung, and you can have severe pain and restlessness and breathlessness. And in some cases, if it is not diagnosed early, then it can lead to death. So with the vaginal birth, even still, oh my god, can we just go take a bath now?